Okay, so I got a lot of people asking me about the Shotgun Quadrot. How did I mod it? How did I do it? I was going to originally do it on a live event, but into getting into it with all the things it needed, the fine-tuning and everything, it would have been a disaster of an episode for a live event. So I decided I was just going to put it together, figure out what I needed, and then show you guys. So here I am. First off, very important, before I disassemble it, you need to understand a few things. One, the barrel volume needs to change as you go down. You're dealing with a very small plunge tube, maybe about 28 cc's or so. It has extremely good airflow to the first barrel, which is why it's actually on average faster than a normal fire strike. But it also needs to be smaller because on this, all the ARs are in, so it can actually multi-shot. Number two, well, let's just get into it, shall we? You need to make sure, of course, that all barrels are crowned, leveled, flat, no in. Barrels don't go in. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people go, well, hey, I'm only getting like 90 feet per second out of my fire strike. Oh, right. I didn't crown the barrels. By the way, if I'm talking like that, last video, one of my friends got a little ruffled about it because he didn't realize I wasn't talking about him. No, he was making great darts. Absolutely great darts. I was actually talking about somebody else I was talking to on Messenger who tried to make some, I believe they were ACCs, and he tried to, either they were ACCs or they were Artifact, I'm not sure. But he tried to just rip the heads off and then glue them. But he didn't peel them off, okay? He didn't peel off the excess foam or try to peel off any of the excess glue. And it ended up being a dart that was extremely lopsided, had a lot of area where it was tighter here and looser here, and yeah, you don't want that. So here's one of those darts. The go-to glue tends to dry with the rubber extremely quick. Okay, but yeah, I was not talking about, I was definitely not talking about anybody on my crew. But sometimes I will leave names out of it because, well, I don't want to humiliate anybody. If they're watching, they see it, they get the information, oh, Chris said it, good. Also, if you're trying to teach people stuff, you get a lot better teaching them just as a matter of fact, rather than calling out their name and saying, hey, you know what I mean? Because humiliate people is not a good way to teach people, okay? And part of what I do is teach people, okay? Take off the two grip ones. I'm missing a couple of screws, but that's the nature of the beast when you're taking this apart over and over again. So let me take this apart and show you what I did. Okay. First off, I really like the fact that you can actually hold the catch here and pull this whole thing off. Same thing for putting it back in. Okay, it is a 12K. It is a 12 kilogram turf retaliator spring. It has a little bit of an anchor there to keep it from diving over here. Which, by the way, this was a problem because you have no cliff there. Yeah, it will tend to try to dive into there. But if you put a little buffer here, the spring is stuck there. Also, for multi-spring, definitely the steel spring guides I used to custom make. Yeah, so this is only 12K. I'm definitely going to go 16 or 18 at some point. But right now I'm just playing with a 12K just to see what it will do. Pad the plunger head. Oh, absolutely pad the plunger head. And make this as tight as possible. Because any air leakage does not go to your smart ARs. And anytime that happens, yeah, forget it. Okay? This is the part that I grinded right here. This flat part. Because by default, even now it's a little tight. This catch pushes up a little when it's engaged. It makes it so locking a heavier spring load is not as easy to do. But if you just grind this, and I mean, I'm talking a tiny bit. I'm talking like half a millimeter, quarter of a millimeter. Not much. But make sure this stays level when you do it. It will, oh yeah, it will work just fine. But you need to grind that. Because if you don't grind that, yeah, it's not going to work very well. Hold on. As you can see, it's still kind of hard to get in there. Okay? Because this is going to go down, boom, like that. See? And if this is not where it should be, yeah, I'm just checking it. It's going to not be my friend. I'm being invaded again. Ah! Okay. Well, I just squelched everybody. There we go. So, very important. I also had to cut about a coil off the normal 12. A 12/8 or a 10 or an 8 turf should be just fine. 12s just have a little bit more solid space to them, so you do have to cut the very front of there off. And you want the cut side to be toward the plunger, okay, not towards the back. The back is going to need everything it needs just to hold that and to keep it from dancing into your catch. Now let's go to the really important part, the Smart AR system. So here it's silicone glue, silicone glue, silicone glue, silicone glue. These were all hammer tapped in. They started at a length of 3, not including the tighter part of the barrel. So the overall length is actually more than 4 inches. It ended up being 3 and 9/16 inch long barrels that I tapped in here, which, by the way, they tap really easy because this is really loose. So you really, I just basically pushed them on the floor and boom, there it is. And then I capped them all with crazy glue in order to anchor them in. This one I ended up cracking, but what I did was I fiber taped around it. And if you fiber tape laminate stuff, it fixes it. I do this on alpha kit pushers, all sorts of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I hate it when people throw me a question mark on a messenger chat. You know what I mean. Think about it. Use your head. Okay, so let's see here. I have this glue. This glue. The only part I have not glued is here. Now it's not permanently glued. It's just go-to glue. It's basically like silicone caulking for the most part. Okay, but this is the part I don't have glued, and there's a really good reason, because you're gonna have to service these a lot if you're making a shotgun. You'll notice on a normal AR, like one that's on a messenger, one that's on a triad, you'll have rubber pads in the front, you'll have rubber pads in the back. I had to artificially put this in with go-to glue. This was the hard part. Now, how did I do this? Okay, so here's what you do. You fill this top part entirely up with go-to glue. You wrap it with Teflon. Now, that's only temporary, just Teflon tape. And then you'll take one of these Smart ARs, that goes there, that goes there. So I'm trying to keep an eye on order here. You'll take one of these and you go like this. You suck on it. And by doing that, by putting suction on it, you're forming this to the back here. Oh, yes. And this is going to need some explanation as well. Hold on a second. I'm going to get the Smart AR out. Okay. You know, my videos, cut and dry, but very informative. Okay. I took out the posts and I took out the center parts, but I kept this little cliff here, and that is so the Smart ARs have something to seal to. Also, when the Smart ARs are back, they seal to the back, which keeps it from the other chambers getting any air. You have to do this, or air is going to leak, and you're not going to get a really efficient flow. I do really wish that these were vinyl tipped ARs, and if you got like an old messenger or something, or like an old triad, dude, rip it out and take them. I'm dead serious. Do it, because it will help you immensely. I have a couple old triads I might be gutting just to do this, because a triad at 12 kilograms will do about 120 feet per second. A quad knot at 12 kilograms will do like 160 feet per second, and it's 4 barrels. It's a no-brainer. I've always felt that the triad should have been a quad. I said that in many videos. I really felt that it should have been a quad. Okay, so to put these back in, so that's about all the modifications I did. Okay, you can see that back there. There it is. But the biggest part was this. These were hard, and there was a lot of trial and error. Luckily, the ARs they supply have a little cliff that you can actually put glue on, unlike the ones that come with, let's say, a dual strike, or let's say a rough cut. There's actually a cliff that actually engages up here that you can actually put silicone there. And do understand that this has to fit. It has to fit evenly, or air is going to leak out. The pressure of the springs isn't that much. I thought about putting another set of AR springs, but I'm like, no, that's not going to work. You need the outside of the Smart ARs to seal as well. So, essentially, that's what I did to it. Now on these, I make it so it goes top up like this, like that, like that. So I make it so the top finger always goes up, because you still have a little bit of the molding left, and you do really want it to fit. because if it doesn't, multi-shot's not going to be. Now, how about doing an all-in-one? How about just removing all the ARs and going all one? Well, there's two problems with that. One, you don't have enough air here to do more than one barrel, or maybe two, okay? And the reason is very simple. That's a really small peeve. Number two, if you take out all the ARs, you have no air regulation. As soon as a dart goes flying out of here, the other three will get stuck in here because all your pneumatic pressure is going out there. So without any kind of flow control, you have no means of regulating it so that when one has no resistance, the other three are firing. Okay, and don't say, oh, well, yeah, but they're accelerating instantly. No, you still need pressure all the way to the tips, especially if you're going tight brass. You need pressure all the way to the tips. May it be only like 15 psi or 20, it's still air pressure. It still drives the dart. You still need enough to defeat the drag on barrels. How long are these after the fact? I don't know, because I didn't do it after the fact. I did it 1 9/16 before, and then I took off a ½ inch. I took off 3/8 of an inch. I took off, I believe that's 5/16 of an inch. Yes. So as you can see, it was gradual. Half, 3/8, 5/16. Kind of looks like a little pipe organ, doesn't it? Yeah. So, anyway, here's what I like about this design. A lot. Okay, let me show you. If you hold this catch down, you push this in, this locks up here. So basically, and this is a way to handle a quadrot as I found it. Trust me, this is a lot of trial and error. You hold the top barrel, you push it in, and you push it down, like so. It stays. See? Perfect, right? So then, you can take this right here. I believe the normal catch is fine, although I lost the catch spring when I was assembling it and I had to use another one, but it's about the same weight. The normal catch spring should work fine. It's just you have to change it so that the catch has more dive. Otherwise, when it engages, the catch won't hold it tight enough for a really strong spring. Plus, you see all that pre-compression this thing has. And it even has more pre-compression than that. It's just all bottled in. I mean, that spring probably has about 1.5 inches of pre-compression, which is probably why 12 is doing a really good job. Because it's really high pre-comp. Okay? And then just tighten it all down. Start from the back. Start from your catch. Okay? I say that with long shots too. Start from your catch. Work your way up. Then close this up in the front. Close that. And then do all the screws in between. That's how you do anything like a fire strike, anything like a long shot, especially something with a really powerful spring load in it. You want to secure the catch first. Now, once you have it, before you do all your springs, make sure that engages. Okay. Yeah, that's the way you want to work with. That's the way I work with pistols. That's the way I work with anything. Bird of Prey is a little different of a pistol. This is a pistol that basically the back never comes off. You unscrew this, unscrew this, you unscrew this, unscrew that, and you loosen the bottom screw. You basically fan the sides out and take out the plunger tube, and then you unscrew the plunger rod with a Torx nut. Now, of course, Bird of Prey is highly specialized, but you want hits how to get into the 300 club with a pistol. Hey, guess what? This one in particular cannot do 300. It's a long shot too. But the Type A can do well above 300 because it's a 38mm tube rather than 36, and it has a lot more power to it. So can you get a Bird of Prey above 300? Yes, but I would go Type A. Type A or above 18.5. If I coiled another spring in here, it could go above 300. But I like the ease of priming and use, so I don't do that. So on mine, I just keep all the catch intact. I don't even bother with it. And because the spring has so much pre-compression, I basically just screw it down, screw off the plunger head and screw on the plunger head with the spring in place. And what that does is it makes it so you don't have to cram the spring and try to put two sides together. Because that would never work with like a really powerful long shot springs. And put in mind, these have taken loads 32 kilograms, 40 kilograms, using this method. 40 was pushing it, and to be honest with you, 28 is about enough. After that, you start seeing diminished returns. I found that 28 was about the limit for these pistols. But 28 is really powerful. I mean, really powerful. And 18.5 does it just fine. So that right there at 290 feet per second is using an 18.5. The Type AR using an 18.5 can go well into the 350s. Right now I have a 23 kilogram spring in there, a lighter spring load, kind of like what I'm doing with Big Blue, where I'm trying to make it so I can get under the 350 mod limits for Scoon. That is doing about 320. I think it's doing about 320-ish feet per second, but it is extremely stable 320, and I would not give it up. So you have to understand that one of the things you don't want to give up is definitely functionality. Now, private, there you go. As you can see, it's very nice. Let's load up my new darts in here. Fire this off. I'm gonna load 4. When you're shotgunning too, you want tight darts in the back, not overly tight, but tight. And you want looser darts in the front. So the ones that sit in your pocket, they're all loose. Yeah, put those in the front too. This thing can fire 3x3x3. But it took a lot of... My biggest problem were those padded ARs. Was putting artificial padding on ARs. That was the problem. So at any rate, this is Chris Cartaya saying don't you go changing or this will happen. Gotta love it. You gotta love it.